the immigration overreach that the president had last year. Just two examples. Which executive actions of this president do you disagree with the most, and how would you approach the use of the executive order in your administration?
It's such a great question. You know, executive action, most people never even heard of executive. Did anyone even heard? You know, usually you had to get Congress, you had to talk the senators into it, you had to talk your congressmen into it, you had to deal with all the people. You know, it's you have your three branches, and you talk them, and you get something passed, and there's compromise, and sometimes we don't like the compromise, but there'll be compromise. But that's the way the system is supposed to work. And then all of a sudden, I started hearing, oh, well, he tried, he can't do it. And boom, and another one, boom. And you have these executive actions. I don't even think he tries anymore. I think he just signs executive actions. The one good thing about an executive action is that the new president can go in. You don't have to go through Congress. You can just, and he's a great lawyer, you can just go and sign, and it's over, right? It's true. It's an executive action can be, defunded, whatever you want to call it. It can be unsigned so quickly by the new president. So what you do is you go in, and I think probably within the first hour, it could be within about 2 minutes after I take an oath, assuming I'm lucky enough and we get the support and we get out and vote. We have to get out and vote. But I would be getting rid of a lot of them very quickly in the first hour. One of them would be immigration. He signed an executive order where people can just pour in. Now, Alan and a lot of people got very involved with that, and actually, shockingly, not doing badly in court. Isn't that amazing?
We're winning.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
So far.
But I'll make it easier on Alan. You won't have to waste your time in court, because that will be out. That'll be gone. You know, they're appealing it. They'll be appealing it. But you've had some very good luck in court. I would get rid of that. Right now, you know, I was at Laredo, Texas, and the Border Patrol, and they're great people. They really want to do the job. They want to do the job. They're told to stand there, just don't do anything. These are unbelievable people. They called me. I didn't call them. They wanted to have a meeting, and they want to do the job. And they're told, just let them come through. Let them come through. And you see the scenes, you see the pictures. If we don't have a border, remember this, we don't have a country. You don't have a country. And people are coming through by the thousands and the tens of thousands and the hundreds of thousands. We can't let it happen, and we will build a wall, and it's going to be a real wall, believe me. It's going to be a real wall. It's going to be a real wall. And see the way I let you get through that whole thing? I'm learning. But it's going to be a real wall. And walls, look, I always say, we're going to have a door. And the door's going to be a big, beautiful door, and people can come into our country. But they have to come in legally. They have to come in legally. They have to go through a process, and they have to come in legally. And if they don't come in legally, we don't want Kate, and we don't want Jamil, and we don't want all of the tremendous crime that's taken place, which turned out to be, you know, Alan and I were talking, when I first announced, I talked about illegal immigration. I never took heat like that in my life, including this week. It was not as strong, nearly as strong. And then within 4 weeks, all of a sudden, I was like the mainstay. Everybody was coming to me. They found out I was right about illegal immigration. And I really thought it was, I actually said, how much longer can I go like this? And then I doubled down. And Rush Limbaugh was a good guy, said, I've never seen anybody take heat like him, right? Rush was out and he was going wild. He said he's taken more incoming than any human being I've ever seen. And then he doubled down, because I actually had a news conference and announced that I'm right 100%, and it's even worse than I told you. And that was really wild. But within 4 weeks, it was all, and now it's a big topic of conversation. And I think if I weren't in the race, I don't even think they'd be talking about illegal immigration. And somehow the reason the polls went way up is because when I mentioned the situation that we have, because we have a very serious situation with radical Islamic terrorism. We have a very, very, and politicians don't want to talk about it. I mean, they just don't want to even mention it. They don't want to. We have a president who refuses to use the term, and he doesn't want to use the term. So I've used the term big league, And I talked about what we have to do. We have to get our arms around this, or we don't want people coming in and knocking down World Trade Centers and having what happened last week in California with these two people, that radical, crazy, horrible people. And we don't want what happened in Paris and what happens here. We don't want it. And we have to get our country under control. And all of a sudden, I see the same thing. It was pretty brutal 4 days ago for Trump. Do you agree? Look at her. She's saying yes. And now all of a sudden, everyone's coming in saying, he's right. I'm even seeing liberal hosts and people. They're saying, he's got a point. Now they're seeing that the so-called wife who came in on a fiancé visa. Okay, give me a break, fiancé. She came in on a fiancé. Well, she came in and she told lots of lies and everything else, and she should have never been allowed to come into the country. But now a lot of people that were very strong against me a few days ago are saying, well, there is a point. So I think a lot of good things are going to happen. But we have to be tough. We can't be so politically correct. And that's the way it is. Thank you.